Yeah, what the lit read, y'all? This your host, Pissy P. Anki, Lamb Lumumba, a.k.a. Blow Lambo from out the barrio, you hear me? Off the dump, coming through that door, man. Hit that like button, hit that share, and subscribe. And also hit the notification bell so you can see more things like this here. You know? And if you also like to help to see this channel grow, you could make a donation to my cash app at Lumumba16. That's Lamumba 16. Stinking motherfuckers. So check the move, y'all. Big Lamb back with a special request. This is my first time doing a special request. Since I've been doing these videos, I done had folk, ask me to do a video on this, do a video on that. And a lot of things that ask me to do a video on, I can't do a video on. Because I can only speak on what I know. Right? I got a special request. Right now, everybody know, as you know, the rapper Ksoo, he got charged with life in the pen. His daddy, Abdul Robinson, aka to us in Jacksonville, Florida, we know him as Blue, took the stand on him. And somebody had wanted a special request. They wanted me to do a story about what happened to Smiley because it was Ksoo's dad is Blue, but it was him and two other guys, but they were mainly known as Blue and Smiley. But you had Blue, Smiley, and Marlo, right? Now, it's not very much I can tell you about them guys because they like 10 years older than me. You know what I'm saying? So while they was 26 years old doing what they was doing at the height of all what they were doing, I was 16 years old. Thugging, starting out the Fairfax Mossy. You know what I'm saying, in the neighborhood. But I remember one time somebody asked me to do a video on other neighborhoods in Jacksonville, cause of course, Blue Abdul Robinson, Ksoo's dad, he's from my neighborhood. He's from Flag Street. So in my videos, you always hear me talk about Fairfax, Flag Street, Mixertown, Sherwood, and the Rat Hole. You know, I can't really speak on really no other hoods outside of my hood. Only thing I can do is tell you my experience with that neighborhood. I can't tell you their history. I'm not from around there. The only history I can tell you is the history y'all see me put out there every day from my area, you know. But as y'all know who follow my videos, I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, raised in Jacksonville, Florida. Right now, I've been living in St. Louis for the past 5 going on 6 years, but I plan on moving back to Jacksonville, right? At what age I moved to Jacksonville, I'm not sure. But when I hit the city, me not knowing nothing about Jacksonville, first place I ever knew about was the Pottsburg Project. That's the first place I stayed in Jacksonville, with first permanent resident after staying with this family member, hotels till we got settled. You know, but so Pottsburg, before I ever heard of this, that, and the third, Pottsburg was the first neighborhood I knew about because I stayed around there now. Back in the days, Pottsburg was very violent in the 80s. And it's not like that today, but even back then, to be on the south side, because the south side is the best side of town that you can live in Jacksonville. It got its areas, like Pottsburg, you know what I'm saying? But Pottsburg was a very violent project back then, to be in a very nice side of town and in a very nice neighborhood. But you had another project probably 2 miles down the road who they used to beef with. You know what I'm saying? Now that project was in a little worse neighborhood, but it's still on the south side in a better neighborhood. So, you know, they don't really got nobody to beef with but each other, cause they so far apart. It ain't like the north side with the bullshit bite to bite. You know? So, eventually, we moved to Fairfax. Now, my neighborhood is not called Fairfax. Over the years, the name of the neighborhood has changed. As a kid, it was called College Park, cause I think, if I'm not mistaken, if it's not the first, it's the second. We got a historical black college in our neighborhood, Edward Waters University. So the neighborhood was called College Park. Then later, it was changed to Durkeeville. It took on the name, the area took on the name of the projects that's in our neighborhood, which Durkeeville Projects is, I'm giving y'all more history. This is the second project that was ever built in the state of Florida. The Poke and Bean projects in Miami was first. They both was built in the same year. But let's just say Poke and Bean probably opened up in January and Durkeeville opened up in February. So they only beat us out by a few months. So the Poke and Bean project is the first projects in the state of Florida, followed behind Durkeeville projects in Jacksonville, Florida, right? So now the neighborhood is called Midwest Side, right? But back then, like I say, especially when it was called College Park, we weren't finna call our neighborhood no College Park. That just didn't sound hard enough for us. So we used to claim squeaks, right? So when I moved to that area, and I started going to the school called Susie Talbot. When I started going to Susie Talbot, that's the first time I ever heard of Flag Street, Florida, or Grand Park. Now, Flag Street, Florida. Fuck what people will tell you. I'm this for the people outside of Jacksonville. Cause people from Jacksonville, they gonna have their own opinions, you know what I'm saying? But this for me to the people outside of Jacksonville. The hardest apartment project, or whatever you wanna label that motherfucker, in Jacksonville is Flag Street, Florida. It's very small. That clique has always been small. But man, Flag Street do the best killing Jacksonville has ever seen. No hood in Jacksonville, Florida got more dead homie shirts than Flag Street. No hood in Jacksonville put other hoods in dead homie streets more than Flag Street. Nobody. And I ain't saying this because Flag Street is in my neighborhood. They in my neighborhood, but they own neighborhood. You feel me? They own neighborhood. You feel me? So when I say Fairfax, I'm talking about Fairfax. When I say Flag Street, I'm talking about Flag Street. But a lot of people don't be knowing the neighborhood boundaries, you know? So most people call that area around Flag Street Grand Park, but it ain't Grand Park until you cross Canal. Flag Street sits on the corner of 13th and Canal, or Kings Road, in between Kings Road and 13th and Canal. You know, Flag Street, Florida. Only thing I could tell you, the all in began all, or however that supposed to be said, the Alpha Omega. Whoever came before Blue and Smiley, I don't know. That's all I ever heard as a kid. You heard these names: Blue, Smiley, Marlowe, Henry Mans, this, that, and third. Of course, Jacob stayed on our block, so You know, the number one stunner stayed on our block. You know what I mean? Harry Man was the biggest, but Jacob was the number one stunner, bitch. You know what I'm saying? So, going to school, especially back then, man, like I say, only thing I can really tell, I can't tell you much about Blue and Smiley, but I could just tell you the fear that they had. Like I once told you in another story, which ain't had nothing to do with them, but say like in the schoolhouse, the main representatives, and this elementary, the main representatives for Flag Street would have been Chopping Crane, aka Keon and Kenyon. The main shit starters for our hood would have been Terrence and Thomas. I remember one day Thomas got on one of them boys' ass, and whooped one of them, and we in elementary, bro. When I tell you Flag Street brought 5 carloads deep of grown ass men up to the school, hopping out, running through that bitch, chasing, but they wasn't chasing us, they were just chasing cause I wasn't clicked back then. You know what I'm saying? I was building up my own rank, you know what I'm saying? But I wasn't imported into the neighborhood family yet, you know what I'm saying? So, as a kid, you gotta think, if I'm the same age you is, I ain't got all them type of people. If I just seen that go on to anybody else in the school, that let us know, hey man, don't fuck with Flag Street. We learned that at a young age, right? Blue and Smiley, 2 of the biggest drug dealers Jacksonville, Florida has ever seen. Only thing about them, they couldn't just get money. They had to get bodies at the same time. You know, Blue and Smiley, man, they was like this. They were the type of guys, they get money. They having bricks. But if they know you having bricks, but they know you a pussy, they'll come rob you for it. If they don't kill you. You know what I'm saying? So, even though they was having big money, they still will rob a bird boy who they felt was a pussy. You know what I'm saying? So, like I say, man, only stories I really can tell y'all, man, is just the pass down stories, man. I remember this one story a guy told me. For y'all outside of Florida, Georgia know about them, Louisiana know about them, Virginia know about them, Tennessee know about them. Most people on the East Coast know about the Miami boys. There was a crew of guys from Miami that spread it throughout the East Coast with the big dope, and when taking over cities and things, they was to the East Coast what the Bloods and Crips was to the West Coast and to the Midwest. So for they didn't come with a gang banging style mentality, they came with a takeover mind. But of course, eventually that didn't last. But I heard a story, man, where they say, now matter of fact, and it's floating on the internet, I don't know how true it is because it tripped me out to hear Blue said when he spoke on when the dude on Say Cheese asked him about Boosie, how he feel about what Boosie was saying about him. And he was like, Boosie don't know me. But he was saying, now if that came from Trick, that would have hurt my feelings because he said, cause Trick my favorite rapper. From my understanding, him and Trick had business dealings in the street. I don't know how true this is. That's why I say it's hard for me to tell a story about guys who I wasn't with. I'm just telling you what I've heard, right? But before Trick Daddy blew up, I heard him and Trick had dealings in the street. You know, of course, Miami being the bottom, we being the top, you know, it's going to be a lot of back and forth between Jacksonville and Miami with the dope. So certain people's going to have certain relationships. And In fact, a lot of people believe that song Trick Daddy made. I buy my money, nope, ain't shit funny. Don't be acting funny when I come about my money, sonny. Don't be stunting about my money. Have it go, y'all know what I'm talking about. They said that he made that song about Trick Daddy made that song about Blue. I guess they had some bad dealers. Once again, I don't know how true this is. I'm just telling you what I heard. There's nothing solid on this, but I'm just telling you this because I had a special request. And like I say, there's just something I heard. And but like I say, however it went, I guess Blue ain't get their business right. And they ended up sending the Miami Hit Squad out there in Flash Creek Project. And on the Say Cheese interview or the Vlad interview, they asked him have he been shot before. And when I heard this, he like, yeah, I was shot in the project. Dudes came by and sprayed up the projects. When I heard that, I thought back to that situation that somebody told me. Because at that time, wasn't nobody that crazy. The fuck with Blue, Smiley, Marlo in no way. And I'm telling you right now, Blue in his 60s, damn near. And I'm telling you, fuck that shit y'all seen that man get on that stand. A lot of people still know not to fuck with Blue. He's still a killer now. Don't forget that. Right? So, they say, I guess, I don't know when he got shot. What was that the Miami Hit Squad that was set up there to deal with him? I don't know. But he got shot. Somebody hit up the projects, and that's something, especially back then. That's something you ain't hear about back then. You know what I'm saying? So now, shit, these young motherfuckers, the baddest motherfuckers get knocked down now. But so you know, they say a Miami Hit Squad came out there in the project to see about them boys, right? I'm going to tell you one personal story, which I told before, but I'm going to tell it again. You know, and I'm going to probably tell it some more. Because like I said, it's part of a bigger story. I remember one time, the respect we had for Blue and Smiley. It's 1996. I done started the Fairfax Mossy. You know what I'm saying? I started something that started out on my block and consumed 80% of the neighborhood. And our neighborhood is a very large neighborhood. It runs damn near from 1st to 20th. It's like damn near 20 blocks long and 20 blocks wide. I locked down 80% of that area. So anyway, at the height of our banging, fuck around, we had some infighting going on our turf on 16th Street. And to make a long story short, man, it went down at 13 and Fairfax. See, on 13 and Fairfax, just off the corner, you got Susie Talbot. Right around the corner from that is R.V. Daniels. Down the street is James Weldon Johnson. Further down the street is Eugene Butler. To the east is Stanton High School. And 2 or 3 more other schools in the area. And this is a main intersection all these buses and all these people got to go through. So we have a big ass fight in the middle of the street, which is like 100 people, which was, everybody went out there fighting, but just the fighting and the sheer number of people that packed in at that intersection. I'm talking traffic was backed up for hours. I'm going to tell you one motherfucker who didn't get backed up. Smiley. In the heart of the fighting. I'm talking lockdown, drag out, anything you can pull up on YouTube, World Star, this, that, the third. Imagine one of them brawls you seeing. Now imagine the big dope boy coming out the street. in his goddamn Miami Hurricane truck, whatever kind of truck it was back then on Triple Gold D's. I'm talking, man, this man didn't even have to tap the goddamn brakes. I don't know who seen him. Somebody say, oh shit, here goes Smiley, y'all stop, watch out, let Smiley through. I'm talking about, motherfucker, we heard Smiley, you know what I'm saying? Bitch, we stopped instantly. Boom. And most of us, you gotta think, see us on this Fairfax end, see those guys on Flag Street and Canal, they right up under them. Most of us just hearing about Blue and Smiley, cause we 5 blocks away. That makes a difference in the hood, right? So we only hearing about it. So this our first time, most of our first time ever seeing Smiley out of all these years of hearing Blue and Smiley name. I'm talking about when he rolled by, it's like, boom, 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 boom. I mean, it's like we followed him and until he was coming down Fairfax, but he bust that right on 13 heading the Flag Street. Soon he bust that right, boom, 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 bite to it. No further delay. That's the power they had. They didn't have to say nothing. They didn't have to hit the horn. Bitch, I think motherfucker Smiley probably even hit the gas, bitch. Let Smiley coming through. You know? Blue and Smiley. The fear they had back then. You gotta think, man, this ain't New York. You hear about all these big drug dealers in New York and New Jersey, how they roll up to the corner store, pull a pistol on the motherfucker, everybody get the fuck back. Blue and Smiley, them ain't have to do that. You got the fuck back, regardless. And my fault, OG. You know what I'm saying? When you seen them guys, you got the fuck out the way. They didn't have to say nothing. You knew, especially us in that neighborhood, because we were raised up under that. You know what I'm saying? That's my most memorable memory and only time I ever seen Smiley. I only ever seen him once. That day we was having a big ass fight, and he coming down the block. Somebody said, oh shit, y'all watch out, here goes Smiley. Watch out, let Smiley through. You know what I'm saying? And matter of fact, that shit went on for a long time. Smiley OG. Somebody on our side of the hood who's equal to Smiley came down and stopped it. And he didn't have to say what, just by us seeing him, I ain't gonna say his name, but just by us seeing him, we stopped him immediately. That's the respect we had for our OGs back then. How Smiley come through, he didn't have to say nothing. We seen him, we got the fuck out the way. Kept fighting. Our big dog come up, who we raised directly under, which is, you know, his homeboys, cause they the same, all them mixed in with each other, just like us and the guys from Flag Street, my age, mixed in with each other. So the big dog on our end, like I say, he just up, and we stopped. Just like that. Right. Like I told y'all, the only time I only seen Blue and Smiley once. I've heard about him all my life. All through the neighborhood. Right? Now, the only time I seen Blue, like I say, this was right before them people came and got him. And this probably was like maybe on a month or two. You know, I don't know what the fuck they had going on. A lot of time in Jacksonville, Florida, a lot of people, they'll get rentals and they'll put 10 on them. And they'll ride around with 10 on them the whole time till it's time to take it back. And then they'll peel the 10 off. I had a car wash going on in the barrio. You know, Blue pulled up, had me take the 10 off his daughter's car. And fucked up thing about that, a week later, his daughter got shot up. You know what I'm saying? Real bad. But she all right. Only thing I can tell you, man, Blue, that man have seen battlefield and bullet wounds and scars. That man has seen tragedy after tragedy. That man caused pain, and he's felt a lot of pain. A lot of pain that's out of his control right now, really. You know? But nobody knows how it is to be somebody like Blue. You was once so feared and still is. You go away. You come out. You come home to a war. Your nephews and kids that you left when you come out, you come home to a war. One of the worst wars in Jacksonville history, the Flag Street Grand Park War. And I'm going to tell y'all about that a little later. And then later, get into this ATK, KTA shit. You know what I'm saying? And all eyes on you. And people expecting you perform. People thinking just because you Blue from back in the days, you still that same Blue. Don't nobody know whether he's that same Blue or not but him. Right? Anybody can put on the act for the camera. But whether he's still that same Blue that really put Flag Street, Florida on the map, I don't know. So the question was, what happened to Smiley? As we all know, y'all hearing about Blue. What happened to his partner? What happened to Marlo? Marlo, he's still in the barrio. And however, but he good. That's the OG. He's still in the hood, so I can't speak. That's my people's. It ain't much I can tell you on him, but he's still in the barrio, and out of the three, I know him personally now. But as a kid, I just heard his name along with Blue and Smiley. But as a grown man, I know him personally now. Because my brother opened up a store in the barrio, and, that's their turf. The barrio is the neighborhood behind Flag Street, or that's another name for our neighborhood altogether. Smiley, from my knowledge, like I say, I can only tell you what I heard. From my knowledge, man, before I tell you about Smiley, let's back it up to Blue real quick again. As we see, Blue jumped out this bitch and name ain't stopped ringing. Since before he got locked up, he had 4 murders under his belt. I know Smiley had an attempt under his belt. Since he got out, they try to say he's behind at least 2 or 3 of those killings. He was the money man behind at least 2 or 3 of those killings between these young boys in the city. Who knows? Only he knows that for sure. And the motherfucker who he possibly put the money in their pocket, if that's what he did. Blue came out, that bitch came out, this bitch blazing, let's just say that. He came out here blazing, rolling with the youngins, tricking off at the hotel, you know what I'm saying, all kind of shit, you know what I'm saying. He came out here a dog still. Smiley, we ain't heard one word from Smiley. This is Smiley doing it so far. Smiley is doing it the way you're supposed to do it. He did his time. I ain't gonna say he rode off in the sunset, but last I heard of Smiley, he got with a white girl, and he live in Atlanta, and he living his best life, and he live a quiet life, and that's the update. That's the only update that I can tell you about Smiley. As far as I know, he's married to a white woman, and he lives in Atlanta. He's completely out the way. and just trying to live the rest of his life. Hopefully, Blue, with his livelihood being put on the forefront, or I don't know the best way to put the way I want to say it, but hopefully now he can, instead of doing these interviews and damn near slick dressing up like a goon just as well, like the YNs, maybe he can sit back, man. Cause see, somebody like Blue can help these kids, man. Because when you listen to somebody, it's people like that who need to reach these kids. People who not been there and done that. You know what I'm saying? Will Blue get on that page to try to reach out to try to help repair some of the damage he's done? Because without him even knowing that he has, I'm from the neighborhood, and I can tell you, just coming up under that leadership, coming up under this our big dog in the area in the neighborhood, without him trying to, hey man, he done gave birth to a lot of killers out of our neighborhood, trying to live up to that name, trying to live up to that Flag Street name, trying to live up to that 13th Street name. He done gave birth to a lot of powder heads. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker wanna ride around here on Triple Gold D, snoring big powder like goddamn Blue and Smiley. You know what I'm saying? So, with Smiley, with Blue, take the route now that Smiley has taken. Now that he had his life flashed before his eyes, he almost had his freedom, took it away from him, whether he was involved in that situation or not. You know, I feel like he was involved in it. Now, as I look at him speak, I don't directly feel like he knew what the fuck was going on that day that he picked them up. I do believe that now. You know what I'm saying? But hey, man, OG, man. Hey, man, salute, man. Stay out the way, man. That's the only thing I can say. And don't test the devil.